Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
In Houston, we are ready for the event.
WYPR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Tom Hall with WYPR's Midday. How do you hear me?
Hi, Tom. This is Expedition 67. We hear you loud and clear.
Well, it's fantastic to hear and see both of you, Dr. Watkins and Dr. Lindgren. Thank you so much for your time. I guess we can just jump right in. Dr. Watkins, this is your first trip to the International Space Station. Obviously, you trained a lot for this mission. What have you found to be your favorite part so far?
Yes, it has been so exciting to be able to be up here and put all of our training to good use, as you mentioned. Definitely the most fun part, the most enjoyable part for me is getting to look out the window, getting to see our home planet, getting to see Earth, and especially for me as a geologist, being able to see Earth and particularly field sites that I've been to or desire to go to, being able to see them from this perspective has been really amazing.
And, you know, regardless of how much you train for something as complicated and complex as this mission, what's been the biggest challenge? What are the things that have presented themselves to you that perhaps you weren't quite 100% prepared for?
You know, I think, as you mentioned, missions like this, these are very complex, and I think maybe for our mission, the most challenging thing has just been the change in plan. So our launch was delayed a little bit. We've had some changes in the schedule for our cargo vehicles for our return to Earth, but I think that is something that we train for as well. We want to remain flexible and adaptable, and we are very well trained, and so we're excited to be able to execute the mission. However it turns out. We just had the SpaceX 25 cargo vehicle arrive, and so we're busy doing cargo operations and starting to dive into all of the science that that cargo vehicle has brought up.
And Dr. Watkins, when you're in, close quarters with 3 other people, is that a challenge as well? I mean, obviously you all get along, you've trained together, you know each other, but what about the psychological aspect of this mission, the fact that you are in close quarters with other people? There's I would imagine pretty small amounts of privacy. How do you handle that part of the challenge?
Yeah, well, luckily for me, I get to fly with these guys. I have 3 awesome crew members, Kjell, Lindgren, Bob Hines, and Samantha Cristoforetti, and ESA Astronaut, as well as our Russian colleagues as well on the other side of station. So we get to, really, it's a pleasure to get to spend time in each other's company, get to know each other better, and really rely on each other. We kind of become a family when we're up here sharing meals together. Really leaning on each other, both professionally and then personally as well. So it really is actually a joy to be able to be up here with these guys.
And Dr. Lindgren, this is not your first mission. You've spent some 141 days in space prior to this Crew 4 mission. What do you find different about this trip from some of your previous trips?
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity to get to fly again, and the more things change, like the saying goes, the more they stay the same. Space Station is very similar to when I was up here in 2015. Of course, we have some additional capabilities. Instead of flying on a Soyuz rocket this time, I had the privilege of flying with Crew 4 on the SpaceX Crew Dragon, and that was remarkable. But we continue to do science. We're seeing over 200 different experiments in the time that we're up here, and continuing to do the maintenance and preventive maintenance to maintain station, and that is great. I think the biggest change, of course, is the people. I had the opportunity to fly last time with a different crew, and now I get to fly with Jessica and Bob and Samantha and our Russian colleagues. And I think that's the biggest difference, but also one of the biggest joys. I think the crew really makes the expedition. It is foundational for the experience up here, and as Jessica mentioned, this is truly an extraordinary crew, and really a privilege to get to fly with these folks.
And Dr. Watkins, you are a geologist. What kinds of experiments are you going to be doing, and what is the fact that you're in the space station, that you're in space conducting this research is going to enhance that research and let you discover things that you wouldn't be able to discover doing the research from afar here on Earth?
Yeah, absolutely. It has been pretty neat for me in particular to be able to kind of see Earth from a planetary perspective, if you will. So I did a lot of my research on planetary geology, looking at the geology of other planets, particularly Mars, and also the Moon. And so to be able to kind of view Earth in the same way, to be able to kind of have the same vantage point as many of our remote sensing instruments have, and be able to make the comparison between that kind of orbital perspective and the kind of ground truth fieldwork type of perspective, be able to marry those two, and then be able to apply it to our future planetary pursuits, particularly thinking about the Moon with NASA's Artemis missions that are coming up. That type of perspective and observation is going to be really important. So really excited about that. Also coming up, just come up on SpaceX 25 that Kjell mentioned, just arrived to the space station. There are several Earth science experiments, one of which is looking at dust in the atmosphere and helping to refine our understanding of the climate and how that's changing. So lots of scientific experiments going on up here that makes a geologist excited.
And Dr. Lindgren, you are trained as an emergency physician. You are a doctor of medicine. How is the practice of medicine and your understanding of the practice of medicine enhanced by your trips to space?
Well, I'm very grateful in my previous expedition and this one that I've not had to use really many of the skills that I used in the emergency department, but I'm grateful to have them and grateful for that experience. The practice of aerospace medicine, or what we're doing in space, is different in many ways to terrestrial practice, in that it is very preventive, and that is that we want to select the healthiest folks possible, keep them healthy while they're in space, and help them recover when they get back to Earth, so that we avoid having to treat significant medical issues or injuries while we're up here on the space station. Certainly we have some capability, but in this model of low Earth orbit exploration, if we had a serious event, we would evacuate our crew members to definitive medical care back on the Earth. And of course, as we look to exploration of the Moon and to Mars, that model is going to have to change a little bit, and so that is exciting for the practice of medicine to think about what that model looks like. But for me, being here up on the space station, I'm getting to study some of the things that I got to study when I was in grad school: changes in the cardiovascular system, countermeasures to keep astronauts healthy, and the space station serves as a terrific it gives us interesting insights into disease processes, bone loss, cardiovascular deconditioning, muscle atrophy, many of the problems that we see on Earth. And by studying them up here, by studying astronauts as subjects, we can gain insights into some of those changes and perhaps come up with solutions, with treatments for folks that are suffering those problems on the ground.
If you've just joined us, it's midday. I'm Tom Hall. My guests are Dr. Jessica Watkins and Dr. Kjell Lindgren. They are two of the 4 members of NASA's SpaceX Crew 4, and they join me from the International Space Station. And Dr. Watkins, of course, there is an historical dimension to your participation in this mission. Of the 250 or so folks who've been to the space station, only 10 have been African American. What is the significance of your role as the first black woman to be on the space station in the history of the NASA program.
Yeah, I think it is a milestone that is important in that it kind of illuminates a long legacy of human spaceflight of African-American astronauts, both in the past and then also is a testament to an exciting future ahead as we look towards the moon and Mars. So I'm certainly honored and privileged to be a small part of that legacy, and just want to be a good steward of that legacy.
And Dr. Watkins, were you the kind of little girl that, always said to herself, gee, one day I want to be an astronaut? Was that something in particular that you had your sights set on? And at what point in your life did this become a goal of yours?
Yeah, it was definitely something that was a dream of mine, kind of a far-off dream, but a dream nonetheless from when a pretty young age. I first think I voiced desires to be an astronaut around the age of 9, but I was really just lucky enough to have mentors, coaches, teachers, parents that supported me and encouraged me along the way, helped me find pathways to pursue opportunities that allowed me to pursue my dreams. And so I'm just super grateful for all of their contribution, encouragement, and help in getting me to this point.
And Dr. Lindgren, how about you? I wonder if in your career path there was ever a tension between, pursuing a career in medicine and pursuing a career as an astronaut. You were able to obviously meld them, and that perhaps is the best of both worlds. But did you have points in your life where you had to sort of choose one over the other, or decide one way or the other?
Well, it really is the best of both worlds. It's such a privilege to have that opportunity to serve as a physician, working in the emergency department and taking care of the community. But I've wanted to be an astronaut for as long as I can remember. It's something that I always dreamed of the possibility, but understood that the odds were really against it. And so I pursued the passion of working in medicine, working as an emergency medicine physician. And having completed that training and worked in the community for a while, I discovered that there was a possibility of merging those two worlds. And so I trained in aerospace medicine and ultimately got a job as a flight surgeon, a physician that takes care of the astronauts and the crews and their families. And that truly was a joy to practice medicine in the domain of human spaceflight. And then soon thereafter, heard that they were hiring astronauts, and so I applied and had the great fortune to be selected in the class of 2009.
And Dr. Watkins, here in Baltimore, we have a number of people associated with the Webb telescope, which is sending back these amazing pictures from deep into space. I wonder, given the wonderful and well-deserved attention that your mission has garnered, and the attention that these incredible photographs from the Webb telescope, do you have a sense that there's a renewed interest, a renewed enthusiasm about space exploration among Americans?
Yeah, it is certainly exciting. I think all of the kind of programs that NASA is participating in and supporting have really pushed us towards exploring further and further into our solar system, and then, as you mentioned, with the James Webb Telescope, all the way out into the universe. It's hard to not be inspired and excited by images like those that were released just last week. It certainly is an exciting time to be in human spaceflight, and in the space business in general. Certainly at NASA, we are right in the thick of our commercial crew program with SpaceX. Sending up Dragons, like the one that we rode up here on, as well as the Boeing Starliner, also just arrived earlier in our mission to the space station for their checkout mission. So that's super exciting to have those two vehicles online. And then, as well as we've mentioned, having the Artemis program right here coming up this summer, I believe, or early fall, having the Artemis 1 mission launch will be super exciting as well. So there's a lot to be excited about in terms of space, and we can definitely see that reflected in the general public.
And Dr. Lindgren, has your experience in space changed in a way that you can identify, sort of fundamentally your understanding of humanity, your understanding of the human condition and the world as we have made it, and the world as it presents itself in terms of the future? Is your philosophical understanding of human beings has it been informed in a way that has changed the way you used to think about it because of your perspective, literally from space?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think there are two major parts to that. One is looking back at the Earth, having this platform to look back at our amazing home planet. You can see visually the changes that humanity have had on the Earth, and certainly many of those are for good. The agriculture, the things that we do to support the lives of our people back on the Earth. But you can also see some of the changes that are not so good. You can see the effects of pollution and deforestation, the effects on erosion into water. And I think that living here on the space station, we spend about 30% of our time doing preventive maintenance, things that support this space station, our home, that is providing us with air to breathe, food to eat, and water to drink, protecting us from the harsh environment outside. And when you look back at the Earth and you look at the black void around it, you see that there is nothing like the Earth in our view, in our experience. And it is surrounded by a fragile atmosphere, a very thin atmosphere, and we recognize that that's where humanity is. That is our spaceship. And I know that many of us do not spend anywhere near 30% of our time taking care of the Earth. And so I think that's the first major point, is that we need to really think about our home and take care of it. The second point is, as you look at the space stations, I was just going to say, looking at the space station, this amazing structure that we've created, it is a testament to what we were able to do when we joined together as an international community for peaceful exploration and scientific endeavor. And it, I think, is one of the greatest benefits of this program, is that international cooperative aspect.
Absolutely. And Dr. Watkins, we just have a few seconds left, but let me give you a chance to answer that same question. Has this changed your understanding of what it means to be a human being by being up in the space station?
Yeah, I think Kjell said it well, and I'll just emphasize the human being aspect of human spaceflight. I think being up here and being a part of it, being a part of such a large team, international team of people that help keep station running, keep us running, it identifies for you, illuminates for you how important it is that we are all human beings, and that unifying aspect is what allows us to accomplish the impossible.
Well, Dr. Jessica Watkins, Dr. Kjell Lindgren, thank you so much. Safe travels. Be safe. Godspeed.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants from WYPR's Midday Station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.